Pet parade pandemonium. So there we were, in our quaint little neighborhood, excitedly preparing for the annual pet parade. My friends and I had spent weeks making costumes for our pets. My dog, Charlie, looked dapper in his tiny tuxedo, while Sarah's pug, Max, was all set to dazzle as a glamorous movie star. The real star, however, was meant to be Mr. Fluff, the majestic yet notoriously stubborn cat belonging to Mr. Jenkins. Folks had been whispering about the elaborate costume Mr. Jenkins had designed, a full-on feline superhero getup, cape and all. The parade was just starting, and everything seemed to be going as planned, that is until Mr. Fluff made his grand entrance. Now, you might imagine that seeing a cat on a parade float would be the highlight, but Mr. Fluff had other ideas. As soon as Mr. Jenkins tried to dress him, Mr. Fluff gave him that classic cat look of disdain and, with a flick of his tail, jumped onto his float and sprawled out like a Roman emperor on a chaise lounge. The crowd chuckled, and we all thought it was a cute act of rebellion. Little did we know, this was just the beginning of the chaos. You see, Charlie and Max, along with all the other dogs, saw Mr. Fluff's regal demeanor and decided they too had had enough of this charade. Suddenly, in a twist of canine camaraderie, every dog in the parade ripped off their costumes and began to bark in solidarity. It was as if Mr. Fluff had sparked a revolution. Dogs were everywhere, running amok, chasing their tails, and showing off their newfound freedom. The parade turned into a scene of pure pandemonium. Mr. Jenkins was frantically chasing Mr. Fluff's float down the street, while Sarah tried to wrangle Max, who was now determined to eat his own movie star sunglasses. The rest of us could only stand by helplessly, caught between laughter and disbelief. As the parade disbanded into what can only be described as an impromptu street festival of liberated pets, Mr. Jenkins finally managed to catch up to Mr. Fluff's float. He looked at his cat, who was still lounging with an air of triumph, and sighed. "Well, Mr. Fluff," he said, holding up the crumpled superhero costume, "I guess you were right. You didn't need this to be a hero today." And in that moment, it was clear to all of us, Mr. Fluff had indeed saved the day, not by wearing a costume, but by showing everyone that sometimes, the best way to lead a parade is to let your true colors prevail.